felt as if I was letting people down. I was going out on weekends just to drink myself into oblivion, basically, to try and forget about it all. For some strange reason, I decided to just chew on this pint glass to these mags. Pub got shut, blood everywhere, as you can imagine.
Did you feel like that was your lowest point?
And it wasn't just to be a professional footballer. The dream was to play for Sunderland. We then went up to the Premiership, finished 7th 2 seasons in a row, and it was just a surreal time for the club. I think there was so much momentum.
Simon, at the height of your career, what was the most money you'd earned?
In the meantime, Peter Reid had been sacked. Howard Wilkinson come in, he got sacked, and Mick McCarthy took over. Came back on my first day for pre-season, and I honestly don't think Mick McCarthy even knew who I was. My go-to, whenever I was in a dark place or struggling, was drink. Now I'm done. I mean, mentally I was done.
You effectively lived thousands of lads' dreams. So that's something that, well, most people don't get the opportunity to do.
Don't live life to survive, live life to thrive.
How are you now then, Simon, mentally? So today we are joined by Simon Ramsden. How are you doing, mate?
I'm good, thank you. Yourself?
I'm alright, mate. Thank you for inviting us down to the place where you train your clients. But for the listeners and viewers, people who don't know who you are, ex-professional footballer of 18 years. Mm-hmm. Played for Sunderland as well, didn't you?
I did. Aye, boyhood dream. Sunderland fan through and through. All the family's from here, and managed to sign for the club when I was 15. So had a season ticket at the same time as Sunderland spotted me, which is what dreams are made of. And then, left school, signed professional terms, and the rest history, I suppose.
Were you always talented as a footballer, or was it something, because it's every young lad's dream, innit, to play for Sunderland? Well, in Sunderland, but do you know what I mean? You play for your club. Was it like, because I think there's a something to be said for kind of practice versus talent. Mm-hmm. Where would you find yourself on that spectrum?
I had ability. I definitely had ability, but I would say my work ethic probably separated me from the lads around me where I played locally or in school and stuff. I think there's always a crossroads when you hit 12, 13, you know what it's like. You start going out, start drinking and whatever else, and that's the crossroads. Do you stick in or do you go by the wayside? And I've seen loads of lads, similar age group to me, who might have had more ability, but they went down that path, and I just wanted it so badly. Literally, it was the be-all and end-all for me. And it wasn't just to be a professional footballer. The dream was to play for Sunderland. If someone said to me, what do you want to do? It wasn't to play for anybody. It was to play for Sunderland. And I had that passion just deep inside us. So when they spotted me at 15, it was a bit of a surreal, like they say about manifesting and things like that. But that's all I had focus on.
Can you remember that time when they spotted you?
Yeah.
What was that like?
It was a bit surreal. I was just playing for my district team at the time, and little did I know, but the manager of my district team had some connections. He didn't tell me they were coming to watch, but I scored 2 goals that day. Mm-hmm. They pulled my dad and me after the match and said, look, from Sunderland, we'd love to take you in on trial and what have you. And it was a surreal moment, definitely.
At that age, did you feel like you'd made it?
I wouldn't say at that age. At that time, it was just excitement because I hadn't sealed a contract or anything. It was like, right, come and show us what you're made of at Sunderland and stuff. Again, going back to my work ethic, I just remember thinking, right, you need to be at the front of the running, you need to be showing the manager everything. I'll just give it me all. And they signed me. I think when I look back, maybe when I left school and joined Sunderland, I maybe thought a little bit that I've made it. Now, like I said before, my dream was just to play for Sunderland. Instead of me going in there with a mentality of, right, my dream's to play 5 games, 10 games, playing, it was as if I'd cracked it already, because that was the dream. It was ticked off. Now, in hindsight, the mindset should have shifted to the next goal. Can I break into the reserve team? Can I break into the first team? But it was just being around the first team lads. I've gone from standing in the full end, supporting them, to actually cleaning the boots and having crack in the changing room and stuff. And maybe I did take the foot off the gas slightly just because I was in awe of it all.
Mm. Do you feel like that could have made you a little bit complacent? You alright, people? Hope you're enjoying the episode so far. Here's a random one for you. Most of you who are actually watching this episode don't actually subscribe to it, so just do us a favour, will you? Can you click the like button, hit the notification bell so you don't miss another episode, hit subscribe, all that good stuff, because we go up and down the country to try and bring you the best show possible. We're not messing around here, so please just show some love, will you?
It may have done, yeah. I think, I wouldn't say I lost the hunger, because like I say, I knew what I wanted to do, and I wanted to play and make me debut and do well for Sunderland. But I think I maybe got sidetracked a little bit just by the shiny lights, or being around your Kev Phillipses and Quinnies and people who you idolise, Kevin Balls and people like that, from the terraces going home and away to then actually being a teammate of them or coming through as a youth team player alongside them. So
was that the team at the time?
Yeah.
But
so
yeah, that was
it
mad.
couldn't have been at a better time, really. As a young lad coming through, my first season as a YT, we got promoted with like the record points in the Championship under Peter Reid. We then went up to the Premiership, finished 7th 2 seasons in a row. And it was just a surreal time for the club, I think. There was so much momentum. And we were playing games in the reserves in front of 30 and 40,000 at the Stadium of Light. And it was just, the whole town, the whole city was just on a high. And obviously you had Phillips, Quins, banging goals in. It was just, it was an amazing time for the club.
How did your life change in Sunderland? Like the people around you? What were they like? Did they all think, Simon's a top boy now?
I wouldn't say so. I mean, like, all my family, very similar to me, home and away all their lives. And I think they were just proud to obviously have one of the family who was in and amongst it. It wasn't as if I was thrown in the first team and they could watch me on the telly or what have you. But just coming home and telling them the stories, this is what's happened in the change room today, or I've cleaned Mickey Gray's boots, who I was on at the time, or just little things like that. I think they were very proud. Now, when I started going out more and going in the town, it was probably a 50-50 split. You had a lot of resentment from lads who were like, who do these think they are, sort of mentality around the town and stuff like that, because we played for Sunderland. And then you had the other ones who probably want you to do really well. It was definitely a mixed bunch. We did used to get in a bit of bother and stuff in the town, but I think you get that in any walk of life. You always get a little bit of resentment if you're trying to do well or whatever, and it is what it is. So
I know that you went on from Sunderland and Motherwell, and you played for a few different clubs, and you made your Champions League debut and stuff like that as well, which, however, a lad from Sunderland doing that, congrats, mate. That's just something you're going to take to your grave, innit? Like, that's unbelievable. How did your time at Sunderland come to an end, and how did that feel?
So under Peter Reid, like I said, we finished 7th in the Premiership 2 seasons in a row. Now, unless you're an exceptional talent, you're not breaking through as a 17, 18, 19-year-old. You might get one every now and again. So they pulled me and said, look, we'd like you to go out on loan. I went out on loan to Notts County for a season, who were in League One. Played 30-odd games for them, which was a great experience. I'd gone from playing reserve team football and just training at Sunderland with the first team to what I would class as men's football, where it actually means something. You're playing for 3 points. People are paying for a bonus for the mortgages, and do you know what I mean? It was a culture shock, but it was a great experience and what I needed at that stage of my career. Following the loan spell, I went back and I had 1 year left on my contract. In the meantime, Peter Reid had been sacked. Howard Wilkinson come in, he got sacked, and Mick McCarthy took over. So there was a big turnaround whilst I was even at Notts County. I came back on my first day for pre-season, and I honestly don't think Mick McCarthy even knew I was.
Really?
Yeah. The squad was that big. Like I say, I'd been out on loan. But again, going back to my work ethic, I thought, right, I need to prove myself now. I've got 1 year left on my contract. We went out, as you do, first day pre-season, pretty much at every club. You do the bleep test. I think I come second or third. I was always one of the fittest at every club I was at. We went into these small-sided games, and Mick McCarthy was a no-nonsense manager. Just, he wants you to give 100%. He would take that over someone who's got technical ability all day long. Put your body on the line sort of mentality. And I remember we played this game, small-sided match, and no keepers. He was just like, right, if the ball comes, you've just got to take it in your chest and in your face, whatever. And I remember just like taking balls just smashed at us in the face and just daft things. And I think he took a real shine to us, like, in first impressions that first day. And he thought, do you know what, Rammers is like the type of mentality that I want at the club. And I got on great with him. But again, going back to what I said before, unless you're an exceptional talent, it's not like a few years ago when Sunderland were in League One and all the younger lads are getting a chance and they're on the bench and they're playing. It was really hard to break through, and there was always that one or two ahead of me in the squad. So I was always travelling with the squad on the bench sometimes. Made me debut in the FA Cup under Mick, which was a dream. But again, the end of the season, we had a chat, and he just said, look, Rammers, I'd keep you for another year, but you're 21, 22, whatever I was then, you need to be playing football regularly now. And as heartbreaking as it was, he was right. And that's when I feel as if my career really started. It wasn't just I'm going into train and I'm playing for Sunderland. It was, right, I need to actually do something here, get some league appearances, actually make a career for myself. So, yeah, it was just a mutual chat. Seen eye to eye, and it was great. Like, you know, he was up in front of me, and I thought, yeah, he's probably right. I do need to go on and make a career for myself.
So what was your goal at that point, exactly?
My goal at that point was to get my career on track. I think, again, going back to the Sunderland thing, was I in my comfort zone, just being happy being around the first team and travelling and getting on the bench and, like I say, coming on in the FA Cup? Or did I want to be one of the main players in this team? Did I want to be a captain of a club? Did I want to go and play in front of 10, 20, 30,000 every week? And I think that was the crossroads where I thought, do you know what, I need to actually move on now and show people what I'm capable of, rather than being a squad player or coming on for a minute here or there and stuff like that.
So what was that step then? What did you do?
So again, that pre-season, I had a few clubs who said, come in, we'll have a look at you. I think Chef Wed and a few others in the Championship. And Grimsby Town, who had just come down from League One, offered me a contract, like, without even seeing me play. So I went down, met the manager, seen the stadium, the setup, and it was completely different to Sunderland, don't get us wrong. But I thought at that time it's the right decision. It made me feel as if I was going to be one of the main players in the team. I liked the way the manager was speaking. And sometimes I make rash decisions in life, and this was one of them. I thought, right, no, this feels right, and I just went for it. Decided on that day, there and then, I was going to sign for Grimsby. Rather than hang fire and see what else came in or trial out at different clubs, I thought, no, I'm going to go for it. So I signed down there.
How long were you there for?
I was there for about a year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
And the first 6 months was incredible. It was like one of the first names on the team sheet. I was playing well, good set of lads. And unfortunately, my disc popped out of my neck. So I had to have an operation straight through the front of my neck. I lost the feeling in my arm. And it was the first real major setback of my career, I would say. I was out for months with that. And then I came back and the squad had changed slightly and I struggled to get back in the team. And from going from one of the main players to having to break back in, and it was tricky. And it came to the January transfer window and I had an opportunity to go out on loan, and I thought, again, I need to be playing. And I took it upon myself to go out on loan, and that loan move thankfully led to a permanent contract for, I think I was at Rochdale for 5 years after that. So it was a good decision, because that was one of the most successful times of my career when I moved on to Rochdale.
Right. What was it like as a northeast lad going to these other clubs? I mean, Rochdale's down in Manchester, isn't it? Like going down there. Did you get the support of the locals straight away?
I think going back to what I touched on before with my work ethic, I think if fans, or we've been fans of Sunderland or whoever you support, if you see a player giving 100%, I think you sort of warm to them, whether they're the best technically or not. Mm-hmm. I seem to have a good rapport with the fans, because they knew that every time I stepped over that line, I'd give it 100. I might not have always been the best player on the pitch, but I was a steady 7 out of 10 every week. They knew what they were going to get. And barring the last club that I played at before I retired, I would say every fan, if you spoke to them at different clubs, would always have a good relationship with me or supported me or got behind us, and the feeling was mutual. I loved my time at every club I was at, and I think that's from my grounding. That's from being one of the fans who went 6 hours away watching Sunderland on a supporters bus or standing outside Roker Park waiting for autographs. I know what it means to them. So when I'm running out and it's pouring down on a Tuesday night, I know what it's like for them fans who's travelled 5 hours to watch us, and I think I could relate to them, where some of the players maybe didn't have that experience as a young lad like I did.
Simon, at the height of your career, what was the most money you'd earned?
The most money I earned was, I would say, when I went to Motherwell. We finished second in the league to Celtic 2 years in a row, and with bonuses and appearances and basic wages, I probably come out with £2 and a bit grand a week, something like that, which in comparison to some of the players that are on silly money nowadays, there'll be lads on the street who are probably earning similar money. So yeah, it wasn't life-changing money, but it was a special time for me. And I think at that moment, and for the majority of my career, I never really looked at it financially. It was more how passionate I was about doing something that I loved and making a name for myself.
But did much change though? Because I know you're saying it wasn't a lot of money, and in comparison, it's now to what the lads are earning now. But again, that was a few years back, and I mean, 2, 3, you're scraping 10 grand a month, 8 to 10 grand a month there. Like, that's still a lot of money for a young lad.
Yeah.
And I think you've got to consider your age when you're making that money as well. Like,
yeah.
What was that like though? Were you just splashing your money? Were you reserved with it? Were you trying to invest? What were you doing with that? Or was it a case of just, again, you genuinely just weren't bothered about money?
No, do you know what? That came towards the back end of my career. So when I was younger, I was never really on great money. Like I say, even at Sunderland, when you're a young lad breaking through, I wouldn't say the term is you get your pants pulled down, but like, you do.
Get your pants pulled down.
You do. So generally, the big contracts are the lads that get signed in and whatever. And I was never on a great money at Sunderland. You then move on to League Two, steady money. And all through my career, I moved on to Bradford City. I was captain for them and half decent money. But it wasn't until, I don't think I played for Motherwell until I was 30. So that's when I started earning that money. Had my first child. To be fair, I used to go out most weekends. My lifestyle's completely different than it is now. But I never had that excess money where I could go mental or really think about my future, as in when I finish my career I can invest in this and that. I wasn't earning that silly money. Now that came after I finished football and in a different business that I went into after that, where I probably, what you're saying there, was I throwing money about and stuff, and when I look back it was a bit of a stupid time. But no, in my career I never really earned the money where I could really afford to do that.
So I want to get onto the stuff you just touched on there, but firstly, just retiring from football, what was the decision? How was it made? And what was going on in your mind? What was your plan B?
So, when I was at Bradford City, which was the club before I was at Motherwell, I had a year out through injury. I had 3 hip operations, and I would say that was a real down moment for me. And one of the times where I really suffered with depression. I was in a bad place. And not playing football really hit me hard. And not only that, like the feeling of letting people down. So I was seen as the captain of the club. The club was struggling. We were near the bottom of the league. And every week it was, when are you fit again? The physio would be, when you fit. I'd go to the shop, my mates would be like, when you fit. And you felt as if it was coming from every angle, and I just wanted to just block it away. And I was at a real low at that point. I then managed to come back from that, moved to Motherwell, which was the biggest high. It was the opposite of that feeling. It was as if I got my career back on track. My first game for Motherwell was in the Champions League, so I'd gone from League 2 to playing in the Champions League for Motherwell. Finishing second behind Celtic, and it was probably the happiest I've ever been in my career. Unfortunately, the manager who I loved and was my favourite manager of my career, Stuart McCall, left. They brought another manager in who I didn't see eye to eye with, and my time at Motherwell came to an end. And that's when it spiralled a little bit. I was at a bit of a crossroads of, what do I do now? I had kids. I had the opportunity to come back to the northeast, to Gateshead. I I thought, right, move back to Sunderland, where the family are, get the kids in school. I play for Gateshead. And in theory, it sounded great. But the highs to the lows is chalk and cheese. I'd gone from playing at Rangers and Celtic and Champions League and earning great money to my wages being more than halved, way more than halved. Playing in front of 500 people in Gateshead Stadium. Travelling 7-8 hours away. Every game's miles away in that league, in the National League for Gateshead down in London and stuff. And I really did lose the love for the game. I did. I wasn't enjoying it anymore. And I was at a crossroads, and I think even a month or two into that season, I knew my time was done.
Right, okay.
Now, which is one of the most frustrating things I can say now, because I'm 43 now, and without a doubt, when you see these players who, he played till he was 41, he played till he was 42, I could have been one of them players. I was always one of the fittest at every club I played at. Kept myself right. Yeah, don't get me wrong, nights out and whatever, but generally I was one of the fittest. And if it wasn't for my mindset or being in that mental place where I thought I can't do this anymore, if I'd have stayed at Motherwell, I could have been one of them players who played when I was 40. There's no doubt about it, because I'd have made sure that I'd have kept myself right. So it was at that crossroads, and I thought, I can't do this anymore. And I remember pulling the manager about Christmas time. I had a double hernia operation, and I knew the rest of my season was a write-off anyway. And I just said to him, look, I think I'm going to retire. And I did. As soon as that season finished, I packed in. I had a few options, clubs saying, sign for us, Shields asked me and stuff, and I said, no, I'm done. I mean, mentally, I was done.
Did you get the support of your teammates and stuff to retire? Because if you are one of the fittest kicking around and that, surely they want you. Do you know what I mean? It is a team sport, isn't it? Like,
do you know what? You're like ships that crossing the night. You are.
It's sad though, isn't it, that?
It is sad, and you can count on one hand the teammates or true friends that you meet through your career that you speak to on a regular basis. Now, I could go back up to Motherwell this week and see the lads I played with, and we'd get on as if it was yesterday, and I've got so many good friends. But as in people who you speak to daily, I could count them on one hand. I've got some very close friends who I've made in football, and they were always there for me and checking on me like I am for them. But as soon as you leave a club, you generally shake hands, and they all move on to other places, and it's crazy how things move on so fast, and the support just isn't there, to be honest.
Quick couple of questions here.
Mm-hmm.
Who is your biggest footballing friend, and who's the best player you've ever played against?
My biggest footballing friend, it's one of them. I still keep in touch with your Kevin Balls, your Quinnies, your Mickey Grays, your people like that who, like I say, I played with them at Sunderland coming through 20 odd years ago, but they're always at the end of a phone. And I'd like to think, as I got older, I try to be like that guiding light for some young lads coming through when I was captain at Bradford or stuff. And I think people like Bawley and that, the few and far between characters like that nowadays. The old
Very
school,
fleeting now, isn't it?
it is. And the old school mentality and going that extra yard for people and the stuff that goes unnoticed, I don't think you get it so much. I would say Luke O'Nien falls into that category. Anybody who speaks to him or anyone you hear can't speak highly enough of him. You can see how passionate he is about the club. So I would say I've always resonated with characters like that, people who are passionate, who care, who check in on you. And I've always wanted to take something from that and try to be like that myself. Going back to your other point, best players I played against. Tricky one in Scotland when, like I say, coming up against your Celtics and Rangers, they had a lot of good players. I always remember back though, coming through at Sunderland, one of the worst things that they'd done, or in football in general, they stopped the reserve league. So when you were a young lad playing the reserves, whoever basically didn't play in the first team at the weekend would play on the Monday night. So we'd turn up and we might play Leeds or Man United or whatever, and it'd be like, right, let's see whose first team players are playing. And they stopped all that now. It's like under 20s or something. I remember playing against Gaza, Paul Mersons, people who you've got no chance of playing against generally.
It's a shame though, isn't it? Because back then, them reserve players would get a chance to mix it with the top lads, which would effectively improve their skill set and all.
And you're coming up against men.
Exactly.
So now you're coming up against 19, 20-year-olds, your same age, not playing for anything. I remember playing against Kevin Campbell, who's sadly passed away now, and he absolutely ragged me all over. But I was 17, 18. He's a man, men's strength. And this is the thing that it bodes you well for when you make your league debut, because you're used to playing against men then. Whereas they haven't got that now. I think that's one of the worst things that they could have done. So, yeah, I suppose if you're looking at high-profile players, probably Gaza, and I know it was only in a reserve match, but just people like that are good memories playing against Newcastle at the stadium. I like Man U at the stadium, like big games like that. As a young lad coming through, as well as some of my league games, big games in Scotland and stuff like that. The Champions League, played in Panathinaikos, played in Russia against Gibral Cisse in the Europa League. Just different good memories playing at Wembley and things.
Simon, how does it make you feel now when you look at football or you watch Sunderland play? Do you feel like there's a piece of you missing? Like, do you feel like, I wish I was still there, I wish I was still involved? Because you've had that journey of the passion and the experience and the changing rooms and all that type, but you also understand the politics and how things work and the red tape and all that type of stuff. Do you look back with fond memories, or do you look back with a bit of resentment, like I could have done more, or I never got to meet truest potential?
A little bit of both. I don't really like how football's going at the minute. I'll be honest with you, going back to like the old school characters, I just think there was more. It was more physical. It was more of a man's game when I was coming through. Like, you could lay a tackle on people. The crowd were into it. It was more terracing. It was, I don't know. I think the game's gone a bit soft now. You can't really touch anyone. The characters are changing. They are. It's not that old school mentality. So that side of things is definitely changing. It's not for the better in my eyes. But I do miss the adrenaline side of it. I do. I miss that feeling of running out on a Saturday, playing for 3 points, running out in front of a crowd. I don't think that ever leaves you. I think even now I still play games for Bradford City. They've got a veterans team. There's no feeling like it when you cross that line and have a kick about and the adrenaline goes again. I know it's not playing in front of stadiums and stuff, but I think once you've done that, you do miss that feeling.
I think especially when you get older, I think it's good to kind of take away the fact that effectively, regardless of, I mean, you still did amazing in your career, mate, so you've always got to give you that, but you effectively lived thousands of lads' dreams. So that's something that, well, most people don't get the opportunity to do. You mentioned off air, Simon, that you went through a bad time mentally where you even got to a point where you ate glass on a night out. What was that all about?
That's going back to me Bradford days. So I would say up until the last few years, my go-to, whenever I was in a dark place or struggling, was drink. Never touched a drug in my life, but it was drink. And at that stage, I was out for the full season at Bradford. Like I said, I was getting it from all sorts of angles. Pressure of coming back, and I felt as if I was letting people down. I was going out on weekends just to drink myself into oblivion, basically, to try and forget about it all. And it just come to a head one night. I was in the local pub. A lot of people in there know how big of a Sunderland fan I was, and I was living in Newton Aycliffe at that time, which is 50-50 split, Sunderland, Newcastle, and a few of the mags started singing Newcastle songs at me and just random stuff, and they were unaware of the mindset that I was in at that time. They probably thought it was harmless. And yeah, I'd been drinking all day, and for some strange reason I decided to just chew on this pint glass to these mags. And yeah, I still to this day don't know why I'd done it, but I just wasn't in a good place mentally at that time. And pub got shut, blood everywhere, as you can imagine, and it wasn't a great phone call to speak to my manager on that Monday morning to explain the boat I was in, but luckily he was understanding. He knew I was in a bad place, how much I missed playing, how much pressure was on me. I was captain of the club, and he suggested me going away to, it's like rehab for footballers basically, Lilleshall. Sent me down there for a spell, away from everything, away from my family, away from the football club, away from all the pressures. You're in a dorm with like random people. It was just to get away from life, and it was exactly what I needed at that time. and I came back and I felt ready to go again, to be honest.
Did you feel like that was your lowest point?
I don't know. I've had many of them, to be honest. Even I've never ate glass since, so that's probably that's not advisable, that one. But no, like I said, depression and stuff like that's something that I have suffered with through my life. I'm openly talked about it previously, and when football went, and I think we spoke about it off air before, come on, I need purpose, I need structure. I'd gone from playing football all my life, getting up, knowing exactly what's going to happen, knowing that every Saturday I'm playing football, training every day, eating this, doing whatever, and that structure. And then overnight it went in a blink of an eye. And it's like, right, I've known football for 35 years, what do I do now? It's like...
It's terrifying, that, like...
It was. So there has been some dark places since then. But I know when I've got purpose, structure, goals, when I'm passionate about something, I'm a better person for it. I'm a better dad for it. I don't drink to oblivion anymore. Very rarely drink now. I try to train as often as I can. And there's things that I've learnt over time which helps with my mindset. And I also know there's certain things that take me back to that place as well. So I just try and find the happy medium and try and, if I feel myself slipping, trying to get back on track as much as I can.
Because I know, like you said earlier, I mean, you're 43 now, successful PT, you've got a coaching business, SR Functional Fitness. And obviously you seem to be booming. I see you're all over social media. Talk about the transition. So I know that you did mention that you went into car sales, didn't you? Was that the first thing you kind of got into after the football?
Yeah, so, like I said, I knew I was going to retire when I was at Gateshead. And about 3 or 4 months before the end of the season, I was just looking into opportunities, thinking, again, I had a little one at the time, thinking, what on earth am I going to do? No qualifications, no interests apart from football. Didn't have a clue. I'd passed my, obviously, level 2, level 3 personal training and stuff. But again, I didn't think I was going to go into that. And randomly, a guy contacted me through LinkedIn, which I joined to see if there's any opportunities, to say, look, if any of your teammates want a car, put them onto me, I'll give you a referral fee. No problem. Didn't have any interest in cars, didn't know anything about cars, but I thought it might be an added income. Everybody needs a car. So if any of my teammates needed one, I'll put them on. He'll give me a referral fee. Anyway, before you know it, 2 or 3 of my teammates wanted one. Then 2 of their mates wanted one. And I thought, right, this could lead to something. That summer, I retired. Didn't have an income, nothing. Had a bit of a pension due to come from football at 35. And I was at a crossroads. The lad said, look, I'm thinking of starting my own company up. Would you like to get involved? Again, like I said to you before, sometimes I make rash decisions. I'll go with my heart. And I said, yeah, why not? Let's do it. And it just went mental, to be honest. It just, again, I feel like I'm an honest person up front with people, and a lot of my teammates trusted me and stuff, said, yeah, I'll come, yeah, I'll get a car. And it sort of grew from there. It grew, I remember being on holiday, and the lad's like, oh, we just sold our first car. I think it was a Corsa or something, just random, and he was over the moon. And it grew to selling 5 a week, 10 a week, 20 a week, 30 a week, and it just went mental. And it was just at that time where, I don't know, I don't think there was a lot of competition around like there is now. And yeah, it just went from there.
Because I know you mentioned earlier when I asked you about kind of the money you made in football, and you went on later to kind of spending a load of money on daft stuff. Were you making good money at this point with the cars?
Silly money.
What silly money?
10, 15, 16 grand a month, stuff like that. Like, yeah, it was just, some days I was selling 3 or 4 cars a day, stuff like that. And like anything I do in life, I give it 100%. I was selling cars at midnight. I thought, I'm going to give it me all here.
You know what's crazy about that, Simon? I know, again, you did say it off air that you don't even like cars, or you didn't like cars.
I hate cars.
And it kind of just shows the business side or the hunger that you've got. If you can make something successful and you don't even have an interest in.
Yeah.
What was it? Was it the financials that was getting you motivated? Because if you don't like something, what's making you motivated to keep doing it and create a business out of it?
I think, because when I was at Gateshead, I'd gone from Motherwell, and like I say, my wages had halved. I would say I was struggling to get by some months, actually. We had a newborn, and I hated that feeling. I thought, do you know what, I want more than that in life. I do. So at that point, like anything, personal pride, I wanted to give it 100%. I've got no interest in cars, but I felt as if my reputation was on the line. So if one of my friends came to me, I give it my all to make sure they got the best service possible, to make sure I sourced them the best cars possible. Everything. I just give it my all. Left the rest of it, obviously, in other people's hands at the company. I didn't deal with the financials or valeting the cars or whatever. But I just made sure everything that I could do, I did possible. And because of how much I put into it, word spread, and it just grew from there. I just took personal pride in it, and I try to just blank out the fact of I've got no interest in cars and just treat it as I want to do as well as I can for you. If you're coming to me for a service, I want to give it my all, and that's how I grew it, and it just spiraled from there. Basically, all the way until lockdown. But when I look back, it wasn't a good thing for me.
Why is that?
The reason being is because I was earning that money and because I didn't have a passion for cars, within 6 months, a year, I'd put on 3 or 4 stone. I'm sat on a laptop, like you say, midnight, selling cars, 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning. It took over my life. I put everything in it where I was selling cars on Saturday afternoons when I'm in the pub with my mates because I didn't want to let people down. And before you know it, the drink had started creeping in, but I had that much money coming in that if I went away, if my friend had said to me, do you want to go to Vegas tomorrow? I'd be like, yeah, sound, let's go. I just lost what I'd maybe, I don't know, not respect for myself, but that sort of...
You're lacking the purpose, aren't you?
Can I swear on it? Or
Yeah,
not? Yeah, that fuck it mentality.
Yeah, of course.
I started to get a fuck it mentality, and I wasn't a good person to be around for my ex, as a dad. And it was basically, right, how much money can I make between Monday and Friday? And then where am I going on the weekend? And that was it. And there's only so long you can do that and not be active anymore. And the mindset started creeping in again. I was in a dark place. I was drinking to oblivion. And all these old habits of when I was injured before came back. Reason being, I'm not active. I'm not training. I'm not eating well, I'm drinking, and this is all the things that I've realised over time that I need to be consistent with to keep my mindset in the right place.
If you don't know by now, I run a business called The Content PT. I create content for influencers, PTs, online coaches and fitness brands all around the world. So if you are someone who's in need for sexy content for your social media, or you really want to maintain a competitive edge in your industry, drop me a DM on Instagram.
So how do you go from car salesman to busy personal trainer?
So lockdown come. Like I said, I'd lost passion for it. Lockdown come, whether you say it's a good time, bad time, I don't know. But earning all that money stopped instantly. Couldn't sell cars initially. Then we could, but it was really difficult. They had to be on trade plates and isolation and all this sort of stuff. So I was in lockdown, drinking too much, in a bad place again, and which seems to be a common theme when I'm not doing anything where I've got a purpose. And I remember my ex, my family having to intervene and stuff and saying, look, you need to do something here, you need some help, you need to do something that you're passionate about again, get some purpose back in your life. Spoke to doctors, different things, thought about going into rehab or whatever. And I had a walk along the seafront with 2 of my really good friends, Glenn and Mickey, and they said, look, you're passionate about fitness. You've always been a machine when you were training and whatever. Why don't you start training people? It was literally an off-the-cuff chat along the seafront in front of the stack. In fact, I don't even know if the stack was there, but it was along the seafront. And I thought, right, got nothing to lose. Sort of strike while the iron's hot. Everyone feeling like shit after lockdown. Wanting to probably get themselves sorted again. So there was a few of us that used to play 5-a-side after I retired, and I put in the WhatsApp group, right lads, anybody who fancies it, Monday morning, we'll meet at the Cat and Dog steps, £3 each, and I'm going to train you. And there was about, I think 5 or 6 of the lads said, oh yeah, I've put loads of weight on over lockdown, or I feel like shit, or whatever. I'm coming. And that was it. That is how the idea come, off the cuff. Chat with 2 of my very good friends, and I met the lads at the Cat and Dog steps on the Monday, £3 each. What's that, like 18 quid or something? I mean.
And is the type of training you do or were doing then when you first started the same type of training you did throughout your career? So that's what I was going to say. So are you kind of learning how to train as a PT as well as training people?
So,
because a different style, isn't it, when you're coaching someone to actually just train in a gym, or and obviously you come from a football background.
So to me, I never wanted to be that PT who sits you down on the bench press and says, right, 3 sets of 10, and I just watch you. And then I move you and they say, right, I don't know, 3 sets of leg press. Or doesn't interest me. I like functional work. So through football, it's always been sports specific or different movements or things that's totally different to your norm of just sitting in a gym environment and doing stuff like that. And I think as it's evolved, I've always stuck to them principles, but my classes, if you came after 2 months to now, would be chalk and cheese. Now, granted, when I started, I had a car and about 10 bits of equipment in my boot, and you're limited to what you can do. The skipping ropes and boxing pads, a slam ball, do you know what I mean? So, rope. But as them 6 people turned into 12, into 24, it was like, right, I need to get a van now. So the car went, got a van, started buying other equipment. And before you know it, that's grown. And then I've thought, right, well, I can maybe bring that equipment out. Then I buy a sled. And the whole class just started to sort of move forward in my thinking. And it went from there. But then, I don't know, 4 or 5 months in, there was 50 or 60 people there in the morning. And it just went crazy. The problem being with that is, I didn't have an indoor facility. So me and my friend Glenn, we went to view a unit along here. I thought, right, I need to get myself a unit now. Had it all agreed, had the vision, things planning, and the council rejected it on a change of use. So I was back to square one. The nights were getting dark. I think it was nearly like September, October at this point. Waves are coming over on the seafront where we were training. And to keep the classes going, I was just at a crossroads, and the Grand Hotel on the seafront had a function room for weddings with carpeting. Went to see them, and I ended up hiring that. And that was the next stage where I could actually keep equipment in there rather than in my van. And like I say, each stage of these 4 years have led to different problems, different solutions, and it's evolved as I've gone.
Where you're at now with your business?
As in,
like, clients-wise, are you full capacity? What are you doing?
No. So this is the thing. This has been the problem for the 4 years. So probably since I left football, I haven't had a guaranteed income since I packed in football. You know yourself, being self-employed, you never really know where you're at. And I had that high when I started the classes. 10 turned into 20, into 30, into 40. And I thought it's always going to be like this. Now, again, after lockdown, the weather was unbelievable that summer. I just remember every day was red hot. I think everybody missed that social aspect, that being out in the fresh air again, wanting to be healthy, all them things, and people were so motivated. And I found over the last 4 years, it's peaks and troughs, it's up and down. You're relying on people's motivation to pay your bills. So you could walk in here and some months you can't move, it's packed. Other months you could walk in here and there's 5 people. And it's hard to get that consistency and people to sustain it. There's only so much that I can do unless I went online and stuff like that. But in person, unless I'm going around to people's houses and dragging them out of bed myself, you're relying on people to be able to sustain it. And that's how I try to instill it in them. I speak to them about the diets and the lifestyle, and it's got to be sustainable. If you go too hell for leather on anything in life, you can't sustain it.
Why are you not online?
I think because going back to what I've just said there before, I love that personal feel of, I'm not one of these PTs who really would enjoy giving out a set plan and saying, right, just go and fill your boots and go and do a set of 10 on there and a set of 10 on there and then check in with me on Friday.
Again, I think you need that for you, don't you?
I do. But both. Like, sometimes I can come in the morning and I'm down, like, I don't know, it might have been a bad week. I might not have made much, or people have said they're coming and they've not come. If I see someone walk in and I think, do you know what, they're like a different person, or if I see someone who maybe was in the shell when they walked in here, but now they've lost a stone and they come and I don't know, they're just full of the joys of spring or whatever, it makes me so happy. And I don't think I can get that as much from just giving out a random programme, which is just the same for every Tom, Dick and Harry, emailing it out and not witnessing it. Like, I'm not saying I'll never do that, but I get a lot more out of that one-to-one touch, being there with people, guiding them, and seeing the difference in them, and it's something that I'm passionate about. I love it.
So, how are you now then, Simon, mentally?
Every day's a battle, I'll be honest. Every day is a battle. And with this job, it is a roller coaster of emotions. You never know where you're at any minute. I've got a class tonight. I couldn't tell you if I'm going to make £5 or £100. I don't know if people's going to come, they're not going to come. And this is the constant roller coaster of this job. Now, I'm very, very passionate about it. But again, you're relying on people's motivation to pay your bills. Like, we're in here now. I've got a unit to pay for in here, kids to provide for, and it is a very stressful job. I'm up at 4:30 every day for the classes because we have a 6 a.m. class. You're on your socials every day. You're trying to push it. You're trying to reach out to new people. You're trying to guide them on nutrition. There's so many aspects of this job that go unnoticed. People obviously come to the class, they pay the £5 or £6. They do the class and then they go home and that's their lives. But for me, this is a 24/7. I've got people relying on me, my kids, different things. So again, mentally, every day is different.
It's funny, mate, because obviously I create content for people like yourself, and you're so right. You're so on the money with that. Like, it is so peaks and troughs, up and down, swings and roundabouts, because you can't predict the human mind. So regardless, because the argument I was going to say would have been, you're relying on their motivation, and as a coach, isn't it your job to motivate them? Because that's one argument I would put out there. Because I know, like, for instance, when I'm shooting with a client and he's got a PT business or he's an online coach, whatever it may be, there's days when he's like, mate, I don't want to create content. And I say, well, then just don't have a business. Because you're going to have to do something at some point with that. So when you have them days when you're down and when you're feeling like that and 5 people turn up or nobody turns up, whatever it is, because I understand how it is, how do you battle that? Like, what are you doing to motivate you?
That goes back to my life experiences, my resilience, that being through adversity, them dark times before. That's from not wanting to let people down. That's from going back when I was captain of Bradford. I felt I was letting people down. That's from when I was selling cars and wanting to give them the best experience possible and not letting people down. I've always had an issue with, just wanting to do well and not let people down. So I've been going now for 4 years, more than 4 years. I've never missed a class once. Not once. Never slept in once. There's times where I've been sat in that office in there, lower than a snake's belly, literally. But the second someone walks through the door, it's that bravado. Sometimes it's that, morning everyone, and you've got to switch it on. Now, don't get me wrong, I haven't always got a poker face, and I've been told many a time, you didn't look yourself this week, or what have you. But generally, I try my best to separate it, no matter how I'm feeling, because people have paid to come to me to try and help them change their lives. The last thing they need is me moping about.
Yeah, exactly.
They don't need to know the ins and outs of the struggles I've got outside of here, whether it be financially, mentally, whether I'm sleep deprived because I've got that much on my mind, or I'm up here at 5 a.m. They don't need to know that shit. Now, don't get me wrong, sometimes in a PT we'll have a chat about things and they'll ask if I'm all right. Again, great. I've got some great relationships with a lot of people who I've grew to have friendships with in the group. But yeah, I think that comes from something inside me where no matter what, I've just got to try and dig in and push, because it does always turn. It does. So when I'm really, really low, I've done it before and I've come out the other side, and I always remember that and think, do you know what? Something good will come. Just keep pushing.
And if I can give you any advice, mate, I would say just everything you're doing, everything you're saying is the only way to do it. Like, that is the right way. And even when times are shit, like, there will be times that are gonna be so much better. You're gonna be. I hope that you're in a position where you look back at this podcast and going, fucking hell, I was telling them I only had 5 people turn up every now and again. Now I kind of get less than 100. That's the position, and the only way that'll happen is if you just keep going anyway. If you stop it, you're gonna fail regardless. So you're not gonna fail. You've been through enough, mate. What I was going to leave for another time, but I've got to mention it here because it's inspired me loads when we had that chat beforehand. Obviously, I know you lost one of your friends, and you're doing a 37-hour challenge, which is going to be on Sky Sports and all other news and all that type of jazz. Can you talk to us about that and the listeners and viewers? Because for me, anybody who's doing anything for 37 hours, is it for a record, by the way?
I don't know. I'm not sure if anybody's done that.
So what's it all about?
So, going back to my time at Rochdale, young lad breaking through. Again, going back to how I said Bally was like a mentor for me. I'd like to feel I was a little bit of a mentor for some of the young lads. And Joe made his debut in front of me, split his boots in the warm-up, back to lending my boots in his first game. And we grew a friendship from that point. I had years with him at Rochdale. Amazing man. And unfortunately, he got diagnosed with cancer. So, obviously had the treatment and different things. Managed to recover from the first bout of cancer, went into remission, and things were looking great. Managed to start playing again. Got diagnosed for the second time, which was just heartbreaking for him when he felt as if he got his life back on track. Obviously, he had a little one and stuff like that. It was a lot more serious the second time. And again, the type of man he is, he got through that. Came back, scored the winning goal to save Rochdale from relegation, which is just something out of a film or something. Amazing. And yeah, his life was back on track. Retired from football, motivational speaker, just anybody who's met the man, he just lit up any room. He's just an incredible, incredible human being. And we sort of flip-flop roles. Like I said, I was a mentor for him when he was younger. But as we've grown older, he would ring me up loads of times to check how I was doing with this, or how's the family, how's the kids. And he'd always have words of wisdom and positivity. When we're saying when I'm down, he would always lift me up. And we always had that relationship. And he came up here, spoke in Sunderland to everybody at the classes about his life story, and he does motivational speaking and things. And out of nowhere, about a year and a half ago, or maybe not even that, he got diagnosed for the third time with cancer. And this time it was really bad. It was in his lungs, stage 4. So again, I wanted to do something. I really wanted to try and help in any way. And he was trying to raise money for like cancer treatment and different things that was going on. So in here, I'd done 25 hours last year of back-to-back classes to raise as much as I could towards his treatment, just as a little bit of giving something back, really, for how much he's done for me and how good of a friend he's been for me throughout. And we came in here. Different people joined in every class, and I'd done it for 25 hours, no sleep, and I think we raised about $4,500 towards his treatment, and it was a great weekend. Everybody came together, all for the cause, and yeah, I hoped that he was going to be on the mend, and unfortunately, about a month or two ago, he sadly passed away.
Sorry.
So it's been tragic. He's left 2 small children behind. Again, going back to his story, he actually lost a child as well. So not only has he had cancer 3 times, he's lost a child as well. It's just, life can be so cruel. But do you know what? He was never woe is me. He was always, in fact, his saying was, why not me? That was his saying. When people say, how can it be you? Like, you've lived this perfect life of health. And he's like, why not me? And that was him. It was no woe is me. And unfortunately, he sadly passed away. So I went down to Joe's funeral a month or so ago, and again, his daughter, his whole family, his wife, his daughters, they're just inspirational. And his daughter got up and spoke at the funeral. She's just something else. Unbelievable. And I thought, how can I give something back here? Like, I just want to do something, anything that can make a little bit of a difference. So I rang up Chantel, which is Joe's wife, and I said, right, I want you to speak to Tallulah, and I want you to ask her what her dream holiday would be, anywhere in the world, and I'm going to do everything I can to make this happen. So she rang me back. She went, I've just spoke to Tallulah, and she said, I want to go to New York. She said Joe had always promised her, and they said we were going to take her, and one thing or another happened, and they didn't get round to taking her. So she wants to go to New York. I said, right, done. So I'm going to put an event on, and every penny that we create from this event is going to go to her dream holiday and anything she needs, every penny that we do. So then I had the decision of, right, how long am I going to do, or what we're going to do. Now, I'd done 25 last time. Now, Joe's, one of his favourite sayings was, don't live life to survive, live life to thrive. And I thought, it's so true. A lot of us plod through life just surviving week after week to get to that Friday, like I was doing with the cars or whatever, and you're just surviving. He's saying, live life to thrive. So last time I'd done 25 to help Joe thrive. That was the saying of the 25 hours. And obviously I completed the 25 hours. And this time I thought, right, JT, he's in heaven. What rhymes with heaven? A lot of people said 11 rhymes with heaven, or 27 rhymes with heaven. Now, 27 would probably be the realistic goal, 2 hours longer than the last time. But I've been watching back some of JT's stuff, and the dark places he was in when he was in isolation with the cancer and different things. And I thought, do you know what? He's never took the easy option in his life, ever, over anything. And I would like to think I haven't in certain aspects of my life. So I wanted to really, really push myself to the limit, past that limit, to some dark, dark places, is something to give back and see what I'm capable of for these 37 hours. So I'm doing 37 for JT in heaven instead of 27. So that was my thinking behind it.
Fucking hell, mate. So you threw the night and everything?
Yeah, so I start 9 p.m. Friday night on the 27th of June, and I'm going to train all the way through until 10 a.m. Sunday morning. So people can jump on any of these. Like, there's 37 classes back to back in here. People might come and do one. Like last time, some people come and done 2 or 3, went home, got some food, had some sleep, maybe come back, do more. Some people done 10 in a row, whatever. And we come in here, and it's a constant for 37 hours. And we're just going to...
What were you like at the end of the 25 hours?
I'll tell you what, it wasn't so much the end. The end, I was on like a high. The last couple of hours, the energy in here and everybody coming in and cuddling me and saying, come on, we can do it, and digging in. And we talked about Amph Kelly, one of the lads earlier. He came in. I was on the stairs out of there with like 2 minutes to go till we were starting again. And I was in a bad place. I was like sleep deprived. I was not hallucinating, but I was just lightheaded. And he went, Rammers, get yourself up. Come on, I'm going to race you in there. And as part of the circuit in here, we do all the stations. Then we had 2 running stations. That Raji decided to race against me. I'd been going about 19, 20 hours or something. And anyway, I ended up obviously keeping up with him and beating him or something. And it was just what I needed at that time. And it's things like that. Like I say, my kids turned up with 2 hours to go. So at the end of the 25, I was actually all right. I was like on a high thinking, do you know what? We've done it for him. It was more in the middle of the night. I think I remember like 14, 15 hours in, just going up to the toilet upstairs, just having chats with myself, just like a little bit like lightheaded and away with it, because obviously it's hard enough staying awake for that amount of time, never mind training constantly. And not only that, I probably need to put this in place actually. I was shouting change on every station. I was timing it. I didn't actually have anybody here doing it for me.
So you were training and coaching effectively?
Effectively. So when people were coming in, I was talking them through what we're doing. while sleep deprived, 14, 15 hours in, I was like, right, everyone, this is that station, that station, that station. I'm going to shout you when you're changing, whilst doing it. And you don't realise how much that takes a toll on you as well. And the interactions when people are coming in, how are you getting on, how are you feeling? And you're aware with it, and you're trying to still hydrate, or it's little things that I picked up from the last one that I maybe need to make little tweaks and adjustments for this one, because obviously this is 12 hours more than the last one, which is a big thing, because I'm going to go through 2 full nights now rather than one. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Simon, I want to wish you all the best of luck, mate, with that. I'll try and come down. Like I say, I'll speak to you afterwards anyway, but just to see it in action and to see what you get. I mean, I'd love to hear how you're going to be after like 30 hours, but you can't even string a sentence together.
I know.
But it's very inspiring, that, mate, and I think there should be more people like that doing certain things for people and stuff. And, you know, if anyone can chip in, and that's why I want to try and come down and take part in some way, shape or form, because, mate, ultimately, as you say, 37 hours, and credit to you for doing it. It's absolutely fuck all compared to what he's went through.
And this is the thing, yeah, and I'm delighted that Joe's wife and daughter's coming up to witness some of it as well.
That'd be insane.
That, honestly, that means everything to me. Like, everyone's buying into it at the minute. It's all everyone's talking about, and I'm so excited about that. But the main thing for me, I want them to come up and realise how loved he was. Like, half of the room probably didn't meet Joe, or a lot of them were at his chat when he came up to speak to them before, but I want Chantel and Lula to come up, and Athena, the little one, who's probably a little bit too young to understand how special he was. So that'll keep me going. If they turn up and I'm 30 hours in, that's all I need to witness. I'll need that. I need my kids, just different things at different stages when I'm struggling. And like you've just said there, pales into insignificance from what Joe went through. 37 hours. It's nothing in comparison.
Have you got a game plan? Like, do you just not train the week before? Because surely you can't be doing classes and that.
Do you know what? The opposite. I'm actually training. I'm going to train constantly now to push myself to the limit, so that my fitness levels aren't going to fall.
I just mean from an energy reserve point of view.
Yeah, I probably should rein it in. Maybe. I think I do struggle with sleep, so in theory I should probably have a couple of lie-ins in the lead up to it or something. I don't know, early night or whatever. But aside from that, when I've done it before, I've just done it off the cuff. I think I've been on holiday with the kids the week before and just come back and just got straight into it. So I don't know if there's a right or wrong. I'd like to think my fitness levels are capable, or they're going to be by the time it's only 17 days to go. It's the mental side. It's when, like you say, where you're away with it and you're lightheaded and you just want to shut your eyes. I remember doing squats and my eyes were shut and I was just squatting, and it's things like that, and it's putting out, it's learning from last time. I remember 10 hours in last time I thought, this isn't hard enough, I'm going to push myself a bit more here. So I brought out some stations that I shouldn't have, heavy balls and burpees and that. And 5 hours later I'm thinking, what on earth were you thinking there? So it's just learning from things from last time. It's not about making this the hardest circuit ever known to man. When people walk in, they're here for a cause and a reason. Now, if we have to do a station which is just a normal sit-up or a press-up, or it's what we're coming here for. So it's learning from last time, not putting out heavy stuff that's going to absolutely... If I'm falling asleep or wobbly, or it needs to be stuff that I'm capable of doing, no matter what. Because
exactly, you're right, mate. It's about the cause. It's not trying to be the next David Goggins, is it? Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
You're trying to do something which has got such a bigger picture than the training itself.
Again, it's little things. It's like one of the lads suggested the other night, why don't we do because at the minute, some of the classes, I do a run where we go around the block in between. He went, why don't you do I don't know, like the midnight class where you even go outside and get some fresh air for one of the stations. It's just making little adjustments, which learning from last time, that might just wake me up a little bit, just going out and
I was gonna say,
running for a minute, coming back in, getting in the next station. Just little things, having someone shout change so I don't have to think. Or someone maybe talking them through what's coming if I'm in there having a drink. Just little tweaks, I think will make all the difference. I hope so anyway.
Simon, mate, I just want to say thank you so much for coming on.
No bother. Loved it.
Thank you, mate.
Thank you.
So if you've enjoyed this conversation and you like things like this, make sure you click up there and watch this episode.